Love Wednesdays and getting to do this with you. And today we're going to have a great guest. I'm going to tell you about her in a minute, but the information that she has, you need. Like, trust me, you need it. We haven't done this before. We haven't touched on it. So in the meantime, if you haven't been to ppa.com, which I can't imagine anybody hasn't yet, but go there, check it out. They have all the resources you need to be a successful photographer in the photography business. And let me tell you a little bit about Dee Bowden, who is joining us today. Dr. Dee Bowden is the creator of Collect the Cash. She works with small businesses who want to solve their cash flow problems. She's on a mission to keep businesses in business. After collecting $6 million in 60 days while working for a small IT company, Dee recognized that small businesses also fall prey to revenue loss just because they don't collect on outstanding invoices. Her revenue recovery strategies have been featured in Forbes, Yahoo Finance, VIP Global, Black Enterprise, and Thrive Global magazines. To invite Dee to work with your team, you can go to collectthecash.biz if you need her help. But right now, we're just going to learn from her. So welcome, Dee Bowden, to PPA EDU Live. And before we go in here too much, Dee, where are you? I want to know where everybody is. I always ask, but I love to know.
Well, good afternoon, Lee, and thank you so very much. And to the PPA group, thank you so very much for being here. I'm originally from Boston. I now live in the great state of Maryland.
Oh, where in Maryland?
I'm in Frederick.
Okay. Because the last imaging, which I'll mention, was in right outside of DC, at the Gaylord there, and they'll have another imaging this year in Nashville. So anybody who's been to imaging, shout out to you.
Yes.
But Dee, tell me, how did you really get? I mean, I talked about it briefly in the bio, but how did you get into cash collection?
I know everybody asks me that question. They're always like, "Who wakes up and says this is what I want to do for a living?" So, if it's okay with you, Lee, I'll do it this way. What I like to say it this way. Everybody wants to know what had happened was, what's the story? What's the story behind the story? Why you got to do this? So, if it's okay with you, I'll just jump in and tell
me. Tell me why.
Tell you why. So about 15 years ago, I used to work for a small IT company outside of Boston, where I'm originally from. Lee, if you worked in corporate, so you know how it is. You get hired, and they bring you either to your cubicle or your office. They have a box, they have a plant, and they have the project for whatever you've been hired for. In my case, I do accounts receivable, aka collections, business collections, and they said, "Listen, we've got $8 million in outstanding receivables." And I said, "Y'all have what?" They said, "Yeah, we got 8." Yeah, exactly. They said they got $8 million. So they were an IT service company. So they sold software licenses, computers, all the things computer. And they had a collections team. They said, "But we've got $8 million and we can't collect it. And according to your resume, it says you know how to collect cash because you've been doing this for a minute. We need you to help us." I said, "Okay, great." Now, y'all have to understand, I was a part-time collector. I only worked Monday through Friday, 4 to 8. They're like, "Here's your list. Here's your cubicle. Get to work." Now, I'm a believer. So me and God had a short conversation. And then when I came out of my conversation with him, I came up with my 4 keys, which are problem solving, customer service, gratitude, and relationship building. And whether you're in business or not, you're doing all 4 of those things all the time. You're always problem solving on something. You're always doing customer service. You're always doing gratitude, and relationship building is everything. How did you and I get here? Because of relationship. Mm-hmm. I'm solving a problem by teaching the photographers how to collect the cash, and I'll teach them more about the system in a minute. But we also express gratitude because every time somebody does business with us or not, when we stop and say thank you, it's a moment to acknowledge them that they first of all, they made a great choice to work with you, to serve you, to help you. And then it's like in the relationships, the key to life and success and everything is relationships. It's who knows you, and then who is willing to recommend you for other things. And that's part of how I got here.
But let me ask you this. So obviously your job was to collect money.
Yes.
Why is it so important as a skill that small businesses understand how to collect cash? Like, don't people just pay their bills for small businesses?
No. No, they do not. And here's why. It's important for you to understand the sales process. So, for example, as a small business owner, you do a great job. Let me back up. Whenever people go into business, especially a small business owner, they usually have this great idea. They're like, "Oh my gosh, I was out eating chicken wings, or I had nachos, or whatever it was, and I had this idea that I can solve this problem." And then you create your business, and then you're like, "Okay, I got to go find the people who want to buy my thing." And you figure out how to do that part. and you learn how to sell and market it and all the things. And thanks to social media, you can come do Facebook Lives and LinkedIn Lives and all the things. But after you get your sale and after you serve your customer, then you're like, oh, crap, I got to get paid. That part. And that's the part because money in business is such a touchy subject. Most people don't want to have to deal with it. A lot of people are really good with selling. They can sell anything. But when I have to ask you to take out your credit card and swipe it, or I have to ask you for billing information so I can submit an invoice to you, and then I expect, because we've done business, that you're going to pay it, and then I realize, ooh, my payments were scheduled to come in on, say, the 15th of the month, and the money hasn't come in, and you're like, oh crap, I got to call the customer. And then the reason small business owners don't like to do this is because they're afraid that if I go back and ask you, my customer, to pay me, you may think, well, why don't you, what's the problem? Number one, didn't I say I was going to pay you? Yeah, I'm going to pay you. But number two, they're also afraid that if I go back and ask, they may not get additional business. Mm-hmm. And it's that when I said the 4 keys relationship building, part of it is because once people go, oh, if I have to go ask you for money, you might see me in a different light. You may not want to pay me, or you may have an excuse. And then I got to go through all the things. And then it's like, oh, I worked really hard to get my sale. I expect, as my book says, collect the cash. The sale is not complete until the money is actually in the bank.
Right.
It's that part. And unfortunately, small business owners are taught sales, marketing, billing, but no one talks to them about making sure the sales cycle is complete, which means you have the sale, deliver your product or service. In this case, we're talking about photographers. So for example, to all the photographers that are listening, your sale or your package is, let's say you're videoing a graduation. So you've had a talk with a customer. And then they go, okay, thank you for my package. The package costs $500. You take a deposit, you video the graduation, you bill them, and then you're expecting that they're going to pay you. Then what happens when they ghost you? They go, thanks, but I'm not paying you for this. Then you got to figure out, how do I problem solve to get my money? Of course, the first thing is you don't turn over your video until you get paid. But there are a lot of people, especially small business owners, because you're new in this industry. You're eager to serve your customer, to give them everything, but you have to be smart and go, no, we have a contract, there's a down payment, there's a deposit, we have deliverables, which means I deliver videos or pictures or whatever the package is. I invoice you, you pay me, and then I give you your product and service. And there's also there's room for editing and revisions and all the things. That's what should happen. But in life and in business, people ghost us regularly.
And even corporate, right? Even corporate does, I know. So, and sometimes corporate will have policy or issues where I know in my business, they'll say, we'll pay you, it's our policy, we pay you immediately after the delivery.
Exactly.
And then nothing happens. And it's not even necessarily the intent. It just sort of doesn't happen, right? Plus, you don't want people to not like you.
Yes.
So you don't want to call them and upset them. But I know, all right, you have 4 keys to how to get paid. So what I want to do here is just drop off so they get all you.
Okay.
If you could just go through those 4 keys,
sure.
Because in business, because so many businesses, I know they're not watching the money. They do the service, they do a great job, and they let the money slip through their fingers. So give them the 4 keys. I'll be back in a few minutes.
Thanks. All right, y'all. So listen, welcome to Collect the Cash. Welcome to what we like to say it this way. What had happened was how to collect the cash and keep your business profitable. So again, I'm D. Bowden. There are 4 keys to collect the cash. Number 1, problem solving. Problem solving is answering the question of what had happened was, which really means after I delivered my product or my service to my customer, why haven't I gotten paid? Nobody plans on being in business and not getting paid for what they do. If we were in the chat, I would tell you, put in the chat, have you ever been ghosted? Have you ever had somebody, buy something from you and haven't paid you? And how did that make you feel? I'm sure you didn't like it. I'm sure it was one of those, man, I was not expecting that to happen. So the problem solving skill of collecting the cash is asking the right questions. Did you prepare a proper invoice? Did you submit it to the right person? Did you do the follow-up to make sure that they got what you promised them? That's the first key. The second key is customer service. All of us have had great customer service, and we've had horrible customer service. If I was going to do it in a chat, I'd tell y'all, put in the chat how many of y'all have had great customer service, how many of y'all have had horrible customer service. And you'd be like, listen, Dave, I know good customer service. So good customer service goes above and beyond. Here's the best way to explain it. Whenever you order, I usually tell the story this way. Whenever you order a set of sneakers, usually you order 10 sets of sneakers, you get your box from Amazon or whoever, and you open up the box and there's only 8. You're like, I paid for 10, I ordered 10, I expected 10, I only got 8. Customer service starts when you get on the phone and you call into whoever it is, and the person on the other end of the line says, hey, D, this is how may I help you? Well, I placed the order for 10 sets of sneakers. I only got 8. I want to know what happened. The expectation with customer service is that, number one, they're going to confirm your information and say, yep, we see you ordered 10. It was somehow we dropped the ball. We made a mistake. And what you're expecting them to do is problem solve, expecting them to tell you why they shortchanged you 2 sets of sneakers. What are they going to do to fix it for you? They're going to apologize for any inconvenience that happened, and then they're going to fix it. They're either going to give you a credit, they're going to send you extra sneakers, they're going to send you a gift card, they're going to do something to appease you, and most importantly, what they're going to do is make sure that you were heard. When we have good customer service, we actually can breathe because we feel like somebody listened to our story, they heard the problem, and then they went to work to solve it. So when I talk about collect the cash as a photographer, it's the same thing. You have a problem. You got to figure out what happened. The customer service part is the follow-up. It's asking the questions. It's getting into the weeds. Then the third key is gratitude. A lot of people ask me, D, what's up with gratitude? I say it this way. Gratitude is that secret sauce. Part of how I've collected millions of dollars, as Lee mentioned to you earlier, is that I always tell the person who takes my phone call, who helps me find the invoice, who actually gets the check cut, thank you. Why? Because when we were kids, our parents taught us two magical words, please and thank you. And you're like, are you serious? I am. But think about it. Whenever people say thank you, that means that they're acknowledging what you've done and they appreciate what you've done. So when I have to go collect cash on behalf of my clients, I have to stop and thank the people who helped me solve my problem, who helped me find the invoice, who helped me make sure that the check gets cut, who helped me do a course correction if we've made a mistake. Imagine we made a mistake. And it's like, oh, well, first of all, thank you for letting me know this so I can fix it. So again, if you're just joining us, first key, problem solving. Second key, customer service. Third key, gratitude. Here's another piece about gratitude. During the holiday season, if you've noticed, if you get a Christmas card or any kind of holiday card, usually businesses do this and they'll say this, thank you for being our customer. We appreciate the fact we've been able to serve you all year long, and we wish you and your family a great holiday season. We look forward to serving you in the following year. What are they doing? They're expressing gratitude for the fact that you've chosen to spend your time, your energy, and your money with them all year, number one. Number two, they recognize that you have a choice in where you spend your time, your energy, and your money. And third, they're trying to separate themselves in your mind so that you'll continue to do business with them. Just like as you do your photography services and all the other things, when you stop and thank your customers for choosing to work with you, it sets you apart because they will be surprised. You're like, well, you're thanking me? Yes, because there are thousands of photographers. But if they choose to work with you, that says that your quality of work, your standards, the experience that you create for them, the place that makes them feel seen and heard and celebrated, that's different. And because you do that, they appreciate that. And you'll appreciate the fact that once you create that for them and they respond well and they pay you on time with no stress, you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to incorporate gratitude into this because it's a way to separate myself and just let them know it's the little things. All of us appreciate attention to details. When you go to a nice restaurant, when you go anywhere and somebody goes the extra mile, you're like, man, I really appreciate that. That's gratitude. That's thank you. That's because it's just not a whole hum experience. It's just, I want you to be seen. I want you to be heard. I want you to be celebrated. And I'm going to do whatever I can to make this experience as best as possible. And if it means saying thank you, then thank you is a part of it. So again, problem solving, customer service, gratitude. And the last piece is relationship building. Yeah, that part. Because in business and in life, we have to build relationships. No business transactions takes place without building a relationship. You got to talk to people. When you, as the photographers, you all sell an experience to people. You tell them that if I photograph you, if I videotape you, or if I photograph you or do videography for you or create this experience, you're selling them that by working with me, you're going to be seen in the best possible light. And as a business owner, that's what you want. You want your customers to be seen in the best possible light. They want to know that if they spend their time with you, that this was an investment that was well worth it. So how do you do that? You build a relationship. You're asking questions. You are gathering information. You are putting together the facts so that when you start to put together your package to sell them on the experience through photography or videography or whatever it is, they're like, oh, they actually listened to me. Like, you show them that you heard that their favorite color is light blue. They like sparkling water. They prefer taking their pictures in the evening versus the morning. Well, all the things. The point is that in the relationship, you have to pay attention to the details. What separates most of us from other things is that when we pay attention to the details, we're saying, I see you. You matter. I want you to go, yeah, I feel good here. I'm willing to invest more time, energy, money because of the experience, because of how I was taken care of. And how about this? How they solve my problems. I've said it several times in a conversation, but it's problem solving. Problem solving is always about what did you do to get things to resolution? That's the first thing. Customer service is always, I say it this way, the fortune is in the follow-up. It's the follow-up. It's the going beyond to solve the problem. Gratitude, again, it's the thank you. It's the, I want you to know that I recognize what you've done and I want you to come back and do it again. And the relationship building is always working with people. And here's the thing, even in business and in life, you're going to have some people that are challenging. I don't want to paint this super rosy picture that everything is always perfect, because it's not. You're dealing with people. There are times when it's just like, oh my goodness, this is a lot. It is. But here's the thing. When you come at it with a positive light and positive energy, you realize, okay, this is just a part of the process. Something went left, something went right. We're working to resolve it. And also know that you got to be able to give people grace. You need to leave room for things to go left or go right, and to course correct. In the course of me doing this type of work for all these years, I've had to learn how to course correct a lot. I've also had to learn how to say I'm sorry a lot. I've also had to learn how to ask for feedback, ask for information, ask for an explanation when I thought I understood something and I got it totally wrong, and had to say, you know what, I missed it. Part of being a small business owner is being able to acknowledge when you miss it. And that's okay. It's part of the learning process. None of us get to be great without making mistakes. And I wish that people would stop making it sound like you never make a mistake in business or in life or photography. We make mistakes all the time. The point is that how do you learn from the mistakes? How do you get better at what you do? How do you learn to take constructive criticism? How do you make adjustments? How do you go from where I was to where you want to be? You've got to be able to course correct. You've got to get more information. You have to be willing to expand your life and your knowledge and how you do things. Just like all of y'all are professional photographers, I'm sure whatever camera you have, there was a early version of the camera. And guess what? They have that camera. If you stayed with that manufacturer, it has evolved over time. Same thing with you. As a business owner, as a photographer, you're doing the same thing. You've learned how to solve problems in one way with this first camera. Now you're in 2022 and you've got a new camera, and it's got new things you have to learn. You have to learn how to problem solve with that new camera. You have to do customer service with the new camera. You have to do gratitude with the new camera. You have to do relationships with the new camera. And it's all the things. But the point is that whether you're in business or in life, it's always problem solving, customer service, gratitude, and relationship building. And if you use those 4 keys, you'll be successful both in business and in life and as a photographer. Thanks.
No, this is great. And I think if it's okay, Dee, we have a few minutes still to sort of work through that.
Yeah.
If we could do like an example, because I'd love to see some concrete techniques that you've used. So let's say you're collecting for a photographer, but even before then, what are some things they should do to prevent the problem? You'd mentioned you need to send an invoice. What needs to be on there to be effective? Because I've received invoices that, honest to goodness, have the person's name and amount on it. And I'm going, where do I send the money? So what should be on a good invoice to make it effective?
Great question, Lee. So a proper invoice should have this: your name, your address, your banking information, number 1. Number 2, it should have your name of your customer, their name, their address, etc. It should have what did they buy from you? Did they buy a package of pictures? Is it 10 pictures, 20 pictures, 30 pictures, whatever? What's the amount that you're charging them? It also should have, I like to say, thank you for your business. It should have a piece of gratitude on it. And then it also should have the remittance information. Where are they supposed to send the check? Or are they sending you a physical check, or are they doing ACH? Are they going to send it? Are they going to do a wire transfer? What is the banking information? All that information needs to be on your invoice so they know what to do. And if there's any concerns or problems, who do they call? They should, there should be an email that says, for example, confirmation of the email will be sent to, confirmation of the invoice will be sent to this email address. So there should be a way to reach out and say, did you receive my invoice? And also, if there's anything that's missing, for example, every business and every customer likes their invoices a certain way. So you might be a person that says, okay, I want, I don't want your, I want your logo, I want this information, but I also want to make sure that you spell out line 1, 10 pictures, line 2, 20 videos, line 3, 10 sets of sneakers, line 4, whatever, and it's itemized. And then what's the grand total? Because if somebody needs to dispute something on the invoice, it might not be they're disputing the entire invoice, why they haven't paid it. They've got an issue with one thing that's on the invoice, but if you don't itemize it and lay it out for them, they won't know. Does that help?
No, absolutely. No, this is some great tips.
Sure.
Yeah, when to pay it by, how to pay it, and what it's for, and be very detailed. And many invoices are not, so I think that's great. So now the next thing is, when should people expect payment? Do you see in many instances, is it okay to ask for deposits?
Absolutely.
Is it okay to ask for regular payments? Like, what do you find to be effective? First on the invoice, and then I'll follow up with, what if they don't pay? But on the invoice, is it okay to lay out payments already versus just saying due today? Like, is it okay to say pay half now, pay half in 30 days? What do you recommend?
I recommend this. Number one, as you're putting together your invoice, have a conversation. You can ask your customer, how do you normally pay your bills? How do you do your payments? And they'll tell you, oh, we usually pay everything on the 1st of the month or the 15th of the month or the last day of the month. They might tell you that. One. Second thing you may ask them is, okay, if they tell you I can't pay you everything up front, you can say, all right, let's do a payment schedule. My deposit is due this day, and then in 30 days there's another deposit. 30 days another deposit. Let's say it's a 90-day contract. So the deposit is due today for us to get started, and in 30 days the next installment is due, and then the following one, and then the 30 days, another 30 days after that. If to go into your other question, if they don't pay you, if after your deposit and your first installment there's a problem, you stop working and you get on the phone and you ask, can we have a conversation? Because here's the thing, you're not going to keep giving away your product or your service and not get paid for it. So you have the absolute, and it needs to be documented. If for any reason the payments are not received by this date, the work stops, and then we will have a conversation.
Now, do you find if you talk to clients beforehand about, like you said, we usually pay bills on the 15th of the month. Yes. Do you get better buy-in if they are part of the decision-making process as to when to pay?
Absolutely. Because number one, everybody wants to be included, regardless of what it is. It's like, okay, if I know that this works better for you, here's the thing. The ultimate goal is to have a great customer relationship. And if that means you need to make adjustments, then you make the adjustment. If the client tells you, listen, we pay all our vendors on this date, and you're like, oh man, I don't want that date, but they tell you they pay everybody else like that, they're not going to make the exception for you. So listen, you have to bend, because here's the thing, you're building a relationship with them because you want to continue to have future business. So you make that adjustment. Number two, if anything goes left, I'd like to say it this way. Everybody thinks we can solve everything with 144 characters, aka a text. And we can't. Sometimes you have to do, I call it old school. You have to be able to talk to people. And a lot of times it's, how can we get this to resolution? That's the lesson here, is how do we get this to resolution? And if the resolution is we have a deposit, you can actually spell it out on your invoice. You can say, after you itemize everything, you can have payment terms. Deposit this much on this date. First payment this much next date. And you can spell it out there. And then also, if you want to, you can also have them agree to sign this, and that actually becomes the beginning of your contract. You can say, This is, I'm not an attorney, but you can get the language that specifies basically that these are the payment terms, and this, that you agree to this, and that once you sign and they sign, and then you get your funds, you're legally bound to do the work, and they're legally bound to pay you.
Absolutely. So we've got a question from the audience.
Yeah.
Matt wants to know, do you have a suggestion for a reliable small business collections? So if a photographer doesn't want to do it on their own and they want to hire someone to do it, what's your recommendation?
Me.
All right. So call D. We'll give you the information.
Yeah. Call me. We'll
if
talk
you were
about
not
it.
available, are there other small collection agencies that you can just look up that do this sort of work?
You could do that, but I mean, of course, I'm going to say talk to me, because of course I want to work with you. I can't really recommend another collection agency, because I'm not really a collection agency. I'm a collections consultant, because basically what I do is come alongside you, and we're going to figure out where the problem is, and I'm also going to train you on how to be better at collecting. Now, of course, you can take somebody to small claim court. You can do the Better Business Bureau, all those things. That's not my lane. My lane is to teach you how to be more proactive with managing your money and managing the relationship with your customer, and figuring out how can we best recoup your money and save face.
Okay, no, that's beautiful. And I think I love your method because you try to build relationships and save relationships with the client. If you're not looking to save your relationship with the client, small claims actually is my lane. I used to do that for a company. And while inexpensive and fairly effective, it takes a little bit of guts. It's scary because now you got to face somebody in court and it's just you. You don't have an attorney. So while you can go to your local courthouse and just say, look, here's my problem. Here's my signed document. You need the signed document for that, by the way.
Right.
You can definitely collect that way, but it's up to you, and it's nerve wracking. So
yeah, and that's also you deciding that, number one, this relationship, like once I put it this way, once you say this, you're taking somebody to court, that relationship is pretty much done. It's done. You're not going to recoup that. So I'm all about figuring out ways to not have to go there. I want you to have the phone call. I want you to document everything. I want you to make sure that every time you have a client, you have one thing I forgot to talk about. You have a system. So what's the name of your client? Do you have a contract number or number for them? How much is a contract for? What are they buying from you? When are you supposed to invoice them? And when you get paid, in a section called notes. That way you track everything. And when the payments are missed on the day that they're scheduled, the next day, either you or somebody is doing the follow-up, because that's how you have to make sure that the sale is complete and the money's in the bank. Now, if you don't do contract terms and you do everything up front, meaning kind of like we talked about earlier, where you have a deposit and in 10 days they're making another payment, you're not going to need someone like me, because basically it's really simple. If they give you their credit card and you swipe it and it doesn't go through, it's a phone call, and it's one of two things. Hey, Lee, your payment didn't go through. And the polite way to ask is like, do you need a moment to use another credit card? Do you need to make a payment and then let me come back to you in 24 hours? Or is there a problem? Do we need to halt this until you are financially ready to do this?
Right. And I know it's been my experience too, that even if you think you have the money, you don't always. So in today's world of electronics, I've had the issue where a payment started to come through, like say QuickBooks, and then got reversed or rejected by the bank for some reason. And you don't find that out for 3 to 5 days, depending on the amount. So, so we only have like 2 minutes left, but here's what I'd love from you is here's the scenario. You asked for your deposit, you got it. The person with their final payment said, here's the money. And then something happened, refused by bank, whatever. So now you've given them the product, and now you're sitting there and you need payment. What does that first call sound? Or do you make a call? Do you an email? What do you do? What is your first move to get the money and save the client? How would you do it?
Hey, good afternoon, Lee. This is D, from Seven Sense Photography. How you doing today? I'm great. How are you? Listen, we've had a great working relationship. The package I put together for you, oh my gosh, I was so excited that everything went well. But here's the reason for my call. My last payment didn't come through. And I just wanted to bring it to your attention. I wanted to find out, was there anything that happened that I need to be aware of? Because when we started this process, we promised to be upfront about everything. Payments, delivery, etc. And you've been great with that, which is why it's kind of weird that I have to come ask you about this, but you do understand we are in business. And so the exchange happened. I gave you the product. I'm looking for the payment, and I need to know, did something go wrong? Then you pause and give them a second to respond to you. Take your notes. And if they tell you, oh my gosh, D, I'm so sorry, da happened, note it down. And then what you want to do is ask them, okay, is there any way we can get this resolved today? Do you have another credit card? Is there any way we can fix this? Because here's the thing, I value our relationship, and I don't want this to get weird. I just want to get paid. And then pause. And then pause and let them tell you. And once they give you the information, you have the information now in your hand to decide, all right, do I believe them, or do I think they're just pulling the wool over my eyes? And once they tell you that, then you can ask them, okay, hey, the payment didn't come through. I was expecting the full amount of $1,000. Okay, you don't have $1,000. What can you do today? What can you do today to keep this in good faith? Can you give me $500 today? Here's my account number, blah, 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 blah. And then let's swipe this and let me confirm that the money has actually hit my account, and thank them for it.
I love it. So there you go, everybody. Dee just gave you the words to say to go to your client, right? She just spelled it out for you. That is fantastic. And again, it's friendly. You don't put the client on the defensive.
Right.
I love the way you do that. Hey, you're great. We're great. Everything's great. I just need to get paid.
Right.
So fantastic. Everybody, if you need to rewatch that, yes, you can. I always get asked, yes, even though it's Facebook Live, you can go back and rewatch. Dee just gave you the words. Now, Dee, if somebody wants to go further and ask for your help, how do they reach you?
Sure thing. First of all, again, Lee, thank you so very much. So to work with me, please visit www.collectthecash.biz. That's www.collectthecash.biz. And in order to get the book, Collect the Cash, please visit www.collectthecash.biz/book. That's www.collectthecash.biz/book. It would be my honor to have you order the book, let me sign it and send it to you. And then, and actually in the book, I actually give you the word for word script on, I only gave you a quick snippet here, but I give you 5 steps. The email to send, what to say on the phone, how to handle it if it gets difficult. And I actually give it to you in more detail, more than I can do here in 30 minutes. But again, the book, www.collectthecash.biz/book. And it gives you all the steps. It gives you an email, it gives you a template, it gives you steps, and it gives you the scripts on what to say. And it teaches you not to be aggressive or be a defensive, because again, don't forget, you're still in the relationship business, and how you handle this is how you handle everything. I
love it. Thank you so much, Dr. D. Bowden.
Hey.
I appreciate it. Everybody can re-listen, and everybody go get paid. Nobody should have any money. 2 weeks from now, when we get back together, I might check back in on everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone should be paid by then.
They should.
Have a great afternoon, everybody. We'll see you in 2 weeks on PPA EDU Live.